Welcome back to the From Harvey We Love podcast. I am your host, Harvey World Drizzy. And today we got us a special one. We're going to be doing a reaction today. I originally had another video planned, another episode planned. We was going to go over the debauchery of the White Lives Matter. Oh, Ye and Candace Owens shook the internet up a couple of days. But while I was getting ready for that, I was watching some YouTube, and my boy Alan Obi over at the We Need to Talk channel had a very powerful interview going, and I just figured, what better time than the present to do that reaction? You know, he's one of my favorite channels, particularly because of the conversation. He labels this series Kevin Samuel started this conversation, and I think it's very important. I think the conversation is very important because this time he's actually being interviewed. That's why I really want to go over this one. He's going to actually be in the hot seat. He's going to be in the chair this time, and he's going to be interviewed by, what I believe, Kiana Williams. That's who the interviewer is. And so, without further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into it. So what they're talking about is, the typical dating and relationship woes, and what we can do to be better. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over the reaction, and I'm going to give my take as I usually do. So let me go ahead and get that set up. Let's jump straight into it.
Sublime.
All right. You ready? Okay, so I'm going to start easy. Okay. What's one thing that women don't understand about men, based on what you've seen, that if we did, we would receive better outcomes with them?
Good ass question.
I thought that was an easy question.
Women don't understand, but if they did, they would receive better outcomes. Men are simple, and part of that is like we need space and we need freedom. Unfortunately, because women are nurturing it, by nature, sometimes you smother us. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't give us the space to really stretch our legs and the opportunity to miss you. So I think, like, even when I think in my life, the women who've been the most memorable, it tends to be women who have their own life that they're happy with. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like necessarily a career woman or whatever, but like she's not looking for me to entertain her. Whereas the vast majority of women they're looking for a man for their own.
And that's a good place to stop it, because that's paramount. See, women that are already happy, and like you said, not specifically to their careers, but just happy individuals, which means that your happiness comes from within. You're naturally happy. Life is going good for you. Those women, and in women's defense, men too. When a man is on top of his game, the confidence that comes with that is a better man. Same with women. In today's society, I believe it's too many broken men and women in the dating market. And a buzzword is therapy now. But we're not doing it. or we're not doing it enough. We're not seeing it through because we're not getting through those traumas. And so that's really what the issue really is. But what he's saying is it couldn't be more true. Women who are naturally, they're already happy, they make for better partners. If your happiness is going to come from me, from your partner, that's unfair. That's unfair. But many times, men and women both, we see our partner as a means to an end. They're supposed to upgrade you. They're supposed to push you, support you. And that's just not what it is. Another issue is like what he was saying is you don't give us the space to stretch our legs. You smother us. like an overbearing mother. That too. That's an issue. On one of my last videos, last episodes, it was a girl who says, if you have hobbies, that I'm not interested in, I'm still going to try to tag along, just to try to spend that quality time. And I said then, and I'll say again here, don't do that, lady. Don't do that. Let that man have his alone time. If it's not going to be a genuinely good time for you and him. Yes, this is a hobby that he enjoys. Maybe he enjoys it alone. We don't want to do everything with you. We're men. One thing he said that is also very, very true. Men are simple. We take simple. When we hear simple, a lot of us hear basic. They hear stupid. That's why they think that men are so dumb. Like we're so easy. If we're so easy, then how come so many of you are having problems keeping us happy?
Own entertainment and for their own kind of satisfaction, and not necessarily thinking about things from his perspective. So I think if I could change that one thing, it would have a better outcome.
Just understanding that men are simple and that they need space. Okay.
And there's a lot more to that, but I'm trying to, be succinct in these answers.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of women, and you probably maybe have heard this too, of women complaining that in the past they have literally begged, pleaded, trying to get men to do certain things or treat them certain ways. And then they end up breaking up with this man and then see him with another woman shortly after and is doing all of the things that she was trying to get him to do for her. And so it's bringing this idea or this notion of if he wanted to, he would. Mm-hmm. Do you think that that's accurate? That if you're not getting what you want from this man, it's probably because he just doesn't want to. You're not the one.
If he moves on shortly after, yes. If it takes some time, like if it's like 5 years later, 10 years later, you see him and now he has a family, whereas he didn't want to commit to you, then it might have just been a maturity thing. He wasn't in a place in life where he was ready for that. And
that goes back to the timeline that we were talking about. Women are typically ready sooner than men. Reason why isn't necessarily maturity, is that it takes a man a lot more to get prepared for marriage. All you got to do for the wedding is show up. Somebody else is going to pay for they're going to pay for the dress. Somebody going to pay for the venue. None of it's typically coming out of the wife's pocket. Not just after the wedding, but when you buy the home, depending on the relationship, maybe she do put in the home, but typically that's not the fairy tale. The fairy tale is a man takes care of that for you after marriage. That's a huge responsibility, and men know it and we feel it. And when we're ready, when a man is ready, and this is the thing, ma'am, he's not going to be ready typically 24, 25 when you are. So here's the risk. You either stick it out with that man until he is ready, or you move on to a man who is. I mean, like we said, there's always going to be risk involved. The risk is you might stick around and this dude might never flourish. And you might have wasted your time. Or you might stick around and he's just never ready for you. And he goes on, he be great with another girl. Now, this being great with another woman thing is tricky because you're not that other woman. So all of the things that she's able to get out of him, she probably gets out of him a different way, typically through femininity. The problem with femininity is that many women don't want to do it. They see it as a weakness. They see it as inferior. Women see femininity as inferior. That's why they're so damn masculine. Not understanding that your femininity is what makes you most powerful. They say in the Bible, Samson was the strongest man in the Bible. Delilah was the strongest woman in the Bible, strongest person in the Bible. She cut his hair off. She took his power. How did she take his power? His greatest enemy couldn't get close enough to cut his hair, not even in his sleep. Feminine woman did, though. Y'all need to know y'all power and take it back.
I think, for instance, we talk about the divorce rate, and it's 50-something%, and 80% are initiated by women. I do think that's incomplete, right? Because although women initiate divorces or breakups, men check out. So there are men who are married or in relationships, but in an attempt not to hurt the woman's feelings, in an attempt not to be the bad guy, or in marriage, in an attempt not to lose everything.
Not to lose at
He'll
all.
just, white knuckle it and be like, I'm gonna just hang in there. But all the love and feelings that he had for the woman might be gone.
This is true. This is true. And I do, I could appreciate the woman's side of that. So that man is already checked out. That's going to be a hard thing to deal with. I can see why it could be so burdensome that she would quit on the relationship. I understand that. So fellas, in that way, it's still a 2-person job. One, you can't just sit there miserable. You can't just sit there miserable. I'm gonna tell you another thing I notice about women. They pick up on your emotion when you've been together for so long. Y'all are in sync. It's hard for her to be down when you're up, if that makes any sense. If you're a naturally happy person, it's gonna be hard. Now don't get me wrong, there are unequally yoked unions all over the place where the man is happy or the woman is happy and she's married to the Grinch or he's married, to the Grouch. And but that's not normal. That's not usual. And that's usually a situationship more than it is a relationship. If you guys are together, you got to understand, first of all, there is a duty involved in marriage, and not just on the man. I know when you hear duty, it sounds like work, and it sounds like that's a man's job. Get the trash. But at the end of the day, it's absolutely not just our job. This thing is a two-way street. You have a duty to that relationship as well. They quit for the stupidest reasons. And in the news today, every other day, I'm seeing irreconcilable differences, ending relationships, and I'm pro-marriage. I'm married my damn self. I'm pro-married, been married 16 years. I would, in a perfect world, there's somebody for everybody, but this ain't a perfect world. It isn't someone for everybody. For men getting married, for men and women alike, but especially men who've built themselves to be something worthy of respect. They have a lot to lose. You have a lot to lose. That once you build yourself up, that's when men are ready. Once we are built, we're ready now. We're ready to go into these new relationships, and we're ready to really put our best foot forward. We're ready to buy that house. We're ready to get married. But by that time, you have so much to lose. So you also know that I'm a great fan of the prenuptial agreement. Absolutely. And see, well, brothers, what you need to understand is that you have leverage when you put yourself together. Yeah, it's going to be hard to even have a prenuptial agreement conversation when you ain't built shit yet, when you haven't done anything yet. But when you come in and she recognizes you for who you are, for the high value man or whatever you want to call yourself these days, when she recognizes you for what you are and she will understand, if she loves you, that you don't want to sacrifice your life's work for a chance at love, especially with these the modern woman wants to meet you at the finish line with pom-poms. She don't want to help you build or help you work. And for that, she doesn't deserve the ability to take half of your shit in marriage. You should not allow that. That shouldn't be an option. So that's what prenuptial agreements are for. Now, yes, they can be thrown down in court, but you need to protect yourself as best you can, fellas. As best you can. There's ways of making these things ironclad. I don't care what you got to do. If you got to get it notarized, you got to have witnesses involved, whatever it is you got to do, protect yourself at all times. It's a combat sport out there. It's a contact sport. You have to protect yourself at all times.
But yeah, it depends on the time period, and the man.
It's interesting that you say that because I do hear the divorce rate situation getting brought up a lot, and then the onus is on women, that women are not sticking through. Women are not built like how their grandmamas were. Women are not, they're breaking up their homes or home wrecking their own.
Don't get me wrong. It's both of us. But all of that shit she just said is absolutely true. They not the woman our grandmother is. They do quit at the drop of a hat. It's because they can. In many cases, they are incentivized to quit. That's why I tell guys to be very careful before you get married. Be very careful. Like, I am all for marriage. I am pro marriage. I wish that we could all enjoy a loving marriage, a healthy marriage. I wish that was in the cards for everybody, but it just isn't. It's not for all men, not for all women. It just isn't. And so in order to give yourself the best chances, you got to be the best version of yourself. Not anything that you see on Instagram, not anything that you see on social media, but the best version of yourself. You get better and better over time. That's fellas and that's ladies as well. The things that men are screaming from the mountaintops, y'all just said it. We're simple. I agreed. We are simple. The simple things that we're asking you for, why not give it to us? They call women that attempt to give us what we want pick-me's. Well, why the fuck wouldn't you want to be one? Pick-me's get picked. More specifically, by high value or better or good men. The good men. That's who they get picked by. You, as a heterosexual woman, you should aspire to be a pick-me. But instead, you go against all of what we tell you. All of what the men that you want tell you. Now, mind you, yes. Like, I understand the Kevin Samuels effect. There was a whole lot of bums that jumped out, and they are running with the talking points when he wasn't talking about them. And many, if they can go back far enough. They might have to go too far, maybe 2017, and he's telling y'all, them same guys that's spreading the gospel, that he's not talking to them because they're not ready. They're not together yet.
Households and stuff like that without that extra context.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think both things can be true.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to measure the men who are just sticking in there. Mm-hmm. But I think that's part of that's part of this that can't be really measured.
Yeah.
But I do know, like, you rarely see men break up with a woman.
That was my next question.
You see what I'm saying? You rarely see men file for divorce unless the lady's fucking crazy. But typically, men, we tend to
stick it out.
Good men, we tend to kind of take ownership and it must be me, you know.
Your word, you gave your word in that marriage. So most of the time, and not to mention, not just that we just moral characters of duty. That's not all men. A lot of men are absolutely staying because they don't want to lose it all. It is cheaper to keep them. They are incentivized to stay. You see how that works? You're incentivized to stay, and so you do. They're incentivized to leave, and so they do. Through alimony and child support, they are incentivized to get the hell out of there. I don't believe that. I believe that when you leave that man, you leave his provision. You might give a damn what you come accustomed to. You're also quitting, ma'am. You're also quitting. So that's like leaving your job and still want a paycheck. Oh, I'm done with you motherfuckers, but I still need that check on the 1st and 15th. Just give me something, 70% of it. You don't got to give me the whole thing. But you're not doing nothing for it. You leave that man's kingdom and you leave all of the amenities that come with it. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, especially when you're quitting for irreconcilable difference. It's only irreconcilable because you quit or you hard-headed and won't listen. Typical. I mean, that's if we're not talking about the real tyrannical men. Like, I'm quit on them tyrannical men. The ones that's beating your ass, that are mentally and physically abusing you. These guys are pieces of shit. Like, no woman, no person deserves that type of abuse. And yes, you should absolutely quit on that. To be honest, you never should have got into that, because I'm willing to bet that he showed you or she showed you that in their character. You should have been able to see that in their character. It depends on how quickly your relationship moved along, or how much you were actually paying attention.
And we're fed all these things from the time we start dating, if the relationship is going well, it's because she's a phenomenal woman. If the relationship is going bad, it's because you're not a good enough man.
Big facts.
Right? So a lot of men think, okay, I just need to stick in there, especially if they've made the decision to commit to you or they've made the decision to marry you. Because the other piece too is, on an ego level, I don't want to admit that I made the wrong decision.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick in there until I can prove myself right. But sometimes that's
to your own detriment.
I was going to ask you that question because I've heard men say that before, that I don't break up with women. This is what they said. Well, this is what this woman said.
I just wait for them to break up with me.
Well, he said, I make them so miserable that they break up with me.
I don't know about that.
But essentially, I mean, when you have...
that it could be some truth to that, because I look back and I don't believe I had the ghost method was my way of breaking up. I just disappear for months and pop back up like nothing happened and let you break up with me. But yeah, typically we don't, because at the end of the day, usually when a man wants to leave you, it's not like the woman wants to hate you when you leave. That's why they typically want you to be the bad guy, and that's why I used to play the ghost role. I go be the boogeyman, I disappear. But they typically want you to be the bad guy. Like it's really hard to amicably, break up with a woman, because she just typically won't let that happen, especially black women. In my defense, in my experience, I mean, so in my experience has been that they're gonna try to talk their way back in. They don't want, you can't amicably just call it quits as a man most of the time without being an asshole. They either gonna make you say something fucked up or treat them a certain type of way, because they can't believe that you just want to leave them because, they got the WAP or whatever the hell they think it is that's so much special than the next chick, when most of the time the WAP will never defeat your attitude, lady. It will never defeat your attitude.
Checked out of the relationship, people can tell. Like, she can tell. She is miserable. She knows that you're not as affectionate as you were, as attentive. You don't really care what she's doing. You are just kind of like, women can tell, and it does make them miserable. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alan.
I think it'll change though.
How?
I think one of the benefits, at least that I'm excited of when it comes to this, even though there are negative parts, but this whole manosphere dialogue is men are finally learning that we don't have to tolerate everything.
You don't, brother.
We don't have to. We're not always the problem.
Nope.
It's important for us to be happy too. Like we're brought up on a whole happy wife, happy life. It's really happy spouse, happy house, right? So men are saying that, yeah, if this woman isn't living up to her end of the bargain, I have every right to leave. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to like child support and alimony and divorce court and stuff like that, there's still hesitations. Mm-hmm. But I think generally, men are saying, I matter too.
So I have a question going off of that, because I know Kevin Samuels would talk about this often when women would say that they got divorced because they weren't happy. And he was like, marriage isn't about happiness. In your vows, happiness isn't a part of it. It's duty and all these things.
Happiness is your own responsibility.
Or what do you think is the appropriate way to balance that? Because I don't necessarily think it is productive even for the children if you are in a marriage that's not filled with some semblance of happiness at some point. But then at the same time, I do think that there is duty associated with the commitment of being in a relationship or being married to someone. So how do you balance that? Because you're not going to be happy all the time.
Right. No, it's not about happiness.
Mm-hmm. It's not about happiness.
Or it's definitely not about the other person making you happy, right? Because I don't think another person can make you happy. Mm-hmm. If you're unfulfilled within yourself, nobody can fill that void but you. But it's about holding up your end of the bargain. Because I don't think happy is a reason why you get married.
Right.
I don't think
especially not a man.
Love is the reason why you get married. I think it's duty. I think it's
family.
Purpose primarily. And then
legacy.
You start talking about love and you start talking about happy. But I think that's more about a mutual respect, mutual understanding, mutual purpose. But fortunately, I haven't figured this out completely, but we are in a very individualistic era,
Right.
and for most people, happy is part of the deal. And if you are not making me happy or maintaining my level of happy, it doesn't matter what else you do.
I was talking to a friend earlier, and we were talking about relationships, and one of the things is, happiness is always, high on the new modern woman, the independent woman's on her scale, on her rubric, or how she chooses a man. It's very high. And the issue with happiness is, one, it absolutely comes from within. Two, it's no one's responsibility but yours. You know, I want to be able, as your man, to make you happy. Of course. That should be a goal of your man, is to make you happy. Is to, maybe if not make you happy, but but help it along. Be a happy part of your life. To be to be that confidant for you. That's absolutely our job. But we can't make you happy, especially if what you are happy in is, many women fall in love with a man's potential, and sometimes he never reaches the potential she might have thought he had, if that makes any sense. Or maybe the potential that he actually had. He never reaches him. Because he never reaches it, she despises him, or she feels away because of that. It's relationships are so complicated, but what people need to understand is that happiness is a fleeting feeling that comes and it goes. It's not like love. Love is more permanent than, it's not permanent, but it's stronger than happiness. Happiness is such a fleeting feeling, and it's actually asinine to start a relationship that's predicated, the backbone of it is you being happy. And like with women being independent, they get to do what they want. But the problem is, you just can't do everything that you want. Because this is the thing, what I said earlier was, you only want something until you have it. Typically, you only want something until you get it. You want $1 million until you got $1 million. Then you want $2 million. So for you to say that it's enough, I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man, I want a man, and you should be happy that I want you in my life, it's unfair to us. And like, I hear it's like it's a win, a lose-lose situation. Because if you're a provider male and you just want to provide, and and I don't worry about what you make, because I'm gonna take care of all of that for you. Then women see that as a type of control. But I was talking to a guy. I was out of town on business, for work, and I met a guy outside, and we talked in the parking lot for a while, and we were talking about relationships. And he was telling me how, he was helping this girl of his, financially. He was giving her an allowance of sorts a month, so to help her live in San Diego, because it's very expensive out here to live. And so he was helping her because he wanted her in her life. She told him that you just want control, huh? After accepting the gift, of course, for months, she brought up that she felt like he wanted control. I don't think she understood how disrespectful that is. Because like, women, you for you to verbalize that to a man who loves you enough, cares enough for you to give you his hard-earned money just to help you along, and you to see it as control and not love, is disrespectful. It's disingenuous, and it's in bad faith. You're going into this relationship with a man that is everything that you want in a man. Everything that you want in a man when it comes to the provider type, as far as I know. But you gonna tell him that you feel he did it out of control. You think that motivates him to want to do anything else for you? What you just told him is that you're already thinking about how uncomfortable it's gonna be to leave him. You don't see how that can be seen as disrespectful? That's the issue with the independent woman. I have a daughter. So do I want her to be independent? Absolutely. I want her to be able to live a healthy and happy life on her own if need be. This is because I know that the numbers are against her. Every woman, especially black women, getting married 1 in 4. Every woman just won't have a man. It's very, it's okay to assume that my daughter might be one of those women left out without a man. And so for those reasons, of course, I want her to be independent, but also I do not want her to have to be independent. If my daughter's only 3 years old, if she turns out to be a heterosexual woman, because I don't even know if we can guess sexuality anymore, right? If she turns out, I absolutely want her to be under the tutelage of a willing, capable, and loving man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know that when her boss fires her, she still has a husband. Daddy's little girl will still be okay. I'd be a fool to not teach her how to be a helpmate to a man. If I just told her that you don't need a man, go out and be a lawyer, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that she might live a successful and even happy, fulfilling life as a lawyer or whatever she gravitates towards that makes her successful in the corporate world. But will that make her happy long term? From what I've seen in my own friends, my family, and this is elders, these are people younger than me, the women without men aren't that happy. Even the ones with money. I know plenty of women single with a bag, unfulfilled.
I'm going to take my business elsewhere. And especially given the fact that we don't really need each other to fulfill the roles that we used to need each other to fulfill in the modern sense.
She don't need you.
But yeah, I don't know. But I'm interested to see how this new wave of men saying we're not going to take it is gonna pan out.
Okay. Going off of that brings me to a question that I wasn't going to ask next, but we're going to go there. So I think I've seen a lot of men put a lot of importance on provision, being providing and things of that nature.
That's because women put.
But there is more to being a father and a husband than just providing. Do you think that the majority of men, because I don't see them talking about that, I hear them talking about pieces of it, like leading and things like that. But do you think that men are completely understanding that there is more to being a father and a husband than just providing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, duh.
You think they understand that?
I think we understand, for instance, there's more to being an NFL athlete than just being physically fit. But even if you have the intangibles, if you're not physically fit, you will be kicked out of the NFL. So because men tend to be tunnel vision, you could even say myopic in a way, we're going to focus on the most important thing. And from a male point of view, the most important thing is your ability to provide. You could be a phenomenal whatever, but if you can't do this thing, nobody's going to look at these things. It's just like
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If she got to worry about the rent being paid, and the mortgage due, any major bills, where she gonna get her next meal, that's gonna strain the relationship. All of the other shit don't matter if the foundation is falling down. If the foundation is faulty, then it's all faulty. To be honest, what a man is, at the foundation is a provider. That's first and foremost for most men. Now, yes, there are women who don't need you to provide, and that's beautiful for the guys that can get that. That's beautiful, but that's just not typical. That's an outlier. And so men that are actively searching for that type of relationship and that type of relationship only is just about as dumb, if not dumber, than the woman who's running around here with this makeshift man in her head that don't exist, that she won't settle for less than, that she does not even qualify for or deserve. You're just as dumb as her. Get you some money. I'm sorry, it's a capitalist society, and what a better place for that to be the rules, right? So we all about making money, and you're going to need you some. It's not going away, fellas. Women are gonna judge you by that. They gonna judge you by that. How make as much as you can. You don't got to be a millionaire, but you need to make as much as you possibly can. Like I said, you are in competition with you and you only. You only got to make more money this year than you made last year. Than you made last year. Than you made last year. Just get better. Get better. Compound interest. It's gonna be compound, gain over time. That's what's gonna get you there.
Work, right? Like if you're not hitting these numbers, even if you're a great team player and you maintain the company culture, those things can help prolong how long it is before they fire you.
Still gonna
but
fire
if you're
your
not
ass.
doing this first thing that we hired you for, those things don't matter. So in men's defense, we understand, it's other things. I think what's complex or what's complicated, right, is like you hear women, for instance, say, I want a 6-figure man. Mm-hmm. I want a CEO. I want a doctor. I want a lawyer. I want a pilot. Without understanding that those careers are the careers that lead to a man making more than 90% of people,
Right.
means he's not going to have time.
Right.
He might not be around.
Right.
He also might not be the most nurturing person. Mm-hmm. And there's a trade-off in life. And unfortunately, as long as we keep hearing those things prioritized, and we understand that the toll to pay to make 6 figures and to be the boss of bosses and things like that is that I have to sacrifice time. We're gonna prioritize first thing first.
So I think the thing that confuses me about that part is if we know that the average man makes what is the amount?
I think 47.
47,000, which arguably isn't enough to completely provide for a family of 4 or 5. Like,
it depends on where. I'm telling you, like with women, they worrying about these rich ass dudes, this lavish lifestyle. But to raise a family of 4, what's that? A husband, wife, 2 kids. It can be done in most places. Now, it ain't gonna be done here where I'm at in San Diego. That's a fact. It's not gonna be done here. It ain't gonna be done in New York. It ain't gonna be done in Manhattan, Miami, or none of those places. LA. It's just not gonna happen. But there are plenty of places on this planet, in this country, where you absolutely. Now, you're not going to be going to the best schools, private schools, and all that great stuff, but you can absolutely live a worth it life on that amount of money. Chances are the wife going to have to kick in a bit, but I don't think a lot of women understand money and how far what stretches. Or it's just that, fun, like happiness is just so high on their list that it's just not worth being married if I can't go on a trip or 2 each year. It might not be worth it to them, which is also foolish. At least in my book.
it's very difficult to support that many people on that salary.
It's difficult.
I would think, similar to some of those like sports analogies that I've heard you say in the past, if you know that you are potentially, for lack of a better word, deficient in this area, then wouldn't it behoove you to focus on some of those other things that maybe are not number one, but if you know that you're number one, which is providing, you can't completely do that on your salary alone, like wouldn't it stand to reason to focus more on some of those other things that are lower?
We do. But the problem is, there's not a huge demand from the female delegation for teachers. There's not a huge demand from the female delegation of middle income earners, middle managers and things like that. There's not a huge demand. Now, I've been saying to women that, the most nurturing guy you're going to meet is probably a teacher.
I agree.
He's probably a coach. He's probably making $30,000, $40,000 a year. But again, you don't see him because he's not checking this first box.
Facts.
You don't see him because he's not 6 foot. You don't see him because he doesn't walk into a room and light it up because he's an average dude, right? So again, it's just like with natural selection. Like if nature, the species keeps selecting for this trait, in following generations, that's the trait you're going to see. So it's no, it's no mistake that even the young boys now, they are prioritizing income, because again, that's what the girls want.
Smart guys.
If the girls wanted something different or prioritized something different before income, then we would see men fixate on that.
Okay, but for the ones that want to get married and income is not, I mean, you can change it. You can these men can have 2 and 3 jobs, I guess, to compensate and make more money.
You don't need to have 2 and 3 jobs, fellas. I think that's the wrong way to go about anything. The right way. Level up, level yourself up. Be worthy of more money. Maybe that means going back to school. Maybe that means getting a trade or a certificate or a certification or whatever. Maybe that's just getting in shape. There's a lot of things. Maybe that's dressing better. Maybe that's brushing your damn teeth. It could be a lot of things that could lead you, to change your financial situation. A lot of things, First of all, maybe you need to find out who you are. What are you best at? What could you see yourself doing long term? You got to ask yourself. You got to have self-reflection. Look inward. Look objectively at yourself and figure this shit out. You have to. And if you got nothing right now, if you broke as hell and you got nothing right now, it's never been a better place to start. You can't go no farther than broke. I guess you can go in the negative, but be careful. You can't go no farther than broke. So if you already at the rock bottom, at the bottom of the barrel, and you not having with the women, you not having financially, you not in shape, whatever it is, these are you can start working on those, and you already at the bottom anyway. So hey, if you got the luxury of having a couch or somebody's that you can sleep on while you figure that shit out, count that as a blessing. If you can go back to mama house or whatever it is, count that as a blessing. But you need to get better. Sometimes it sucks because like at my age, I'm 35, and once we hit 30, everybody act like, the clock is ticking. It's almost like a midlife crisis. Like it's over with for me. Anything I haven't done already, I can't do. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. There's nothing wrong. Don't let nobody tell you not to go back to college at 30 years old. It's still 4 years. You can spend the next 4 years broke anyway with no chance of getting out, or you can hustle for 4 years. And this might not be a degree. It might be, like I said, you might teach yourself how to code. You can learn that for free online. It's a litany of things that you can do that can make you more financially stable. And a symptom of being financially stable is women. The attention of women. They magically see you when you got money, no matter what you look like.
Exactly. They could do that if they want to, I guess. But most people are not going to go out and have 3 jobs because, like you said, there's trade-offs to that as well. So dealing with what you have before you, because yes, if given a preference, a woman would probably say, yes, I would like my man to make over 6 figures because
they always say
for obvious reasons, But given the fact that there are a shortage of those men, so these women are going to end up either all choosing the same man or choosing someone that does not fit in that criteria. It seems like it would make sense so now if income is not a factor, because I'm now dealing with men that are not making the income that I want. So now I'm going down the list. So like whatever number 2 is, I don't know after providing what number 2 would be necessarily.
Pookie. Today?
Yeah, what do you think number 2 is?
Clout.
Today? Yeah, that's a fact.
You think that's right under the ability to provide?
I honestly, I think low key, clout is above the ability to provide. So like a man's status. Like I if given 2 guys, everything's equal. Guy 1 makes money. Guy 2 has a blue check mark. Guy 2 is gonna get more hoes. That's the
really
today, 2022.
Than the man with the money.
Yes.
Really? That's interesting.
You don't make the rules. Yeah. It's observation.
Okay.
The guy with the money might actually be paying the guy with the blue check mark to help get him women.
Okay, so I think that stands another question. So what do men, because we talk a lot about what, like, women don't understand what men want. And then we talk about, okay, they want fit, feminine, friendly, peaceful, beautiful, inspirational, discerning, all these things. What do men think women want, aside from 6 foot, 6 figures? Because I don't hear anybody talking about anything outside of physical. So is the assumption then that women only care about these superficial things, or is there an acknowledgement that there are other things that women actually, like the type of women that you want, because that's the conversation all the time for the women, the type of man that you want. I think a lot of attention is given to the type of women that y'all actually don't even want. So you're talking about these women that you don't even really want what they want. They want the 6 figures, 6 feet. Like,
I think the difference though is that male nature prioritizes quantity,
right?
Whereas female nature prioritizes quality. Right. Making it as a man means being attractive to the vast majority of women. Yeah. Making it as a woman means being attractive to the guy.
The highest level.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So based on that, what we're looking at is different. So men do have to concern themselves with what is it that the vast majority of women want? What is it that the vast majority of women are looking for? I agree with you that we need to be more specific and specialized. Right. But starting off, we're gonna look at big numbers. We're gonna look at how can I be considered attractive or an eligible bachelor to every woman. With that being said, I think you asked the question, what is it that men think women want?
Yeah. Because when you're talking about all women, you're also talking about the strippers. You're talking, and I think that's why you then hear men. I've seen some of the angry men in the comments that talk about these women are choosing Pookie and Ray Ray. I have never chosen a Pookie or a Ray Ray. So I am not the type of woman that chooses those, but y'all seem to be hyper focused on the type of woman that would then go and choose a Pookie.
Before he even answers, it's because they the fucking loudest. They the fucking loudest. You go on social media, up and down your timeline, whether it's people that you know personally or people that you don't know, whether it's celebrities. If it's a female, they are screaming at the top of their lungs on the bad experiences with men, and we can tell by the experiences that they're having, these niggas is pookies. We can tell. The type of guy that will put you through the shit that you are talking about is a fucking pookie. And I don't think that they understand how much of a judgment, how much of it is on you, an indictment it is on the woman for allowing access to the garden to a pookie. And the fact that most of them then ran into multiple pookies. You are the common denominator, ma'am. This is basic math. This is basic math. You've been in a bunch of ain't shit relationships, a bunch of terrible, tumultuous relationships, and the only common denominator, the only person that was present in each one of those relationships was you. It don't take a mathematician to understand that you are the issue, ma'am. And you will never look inwardly at yourself. You know, one of my next videos I'm going to do is going to be on female narcissism. You're going to find out today. Y'all going to learn today or that day that many women, the ones who are most notorious for talking about these narcissistic, misogynist men who took advantage of them, that's just not true. That's just not what's going on. That's the issue. What's really going on is that the social media, I would argue, has made have turned most women into the narcissists. They come into these relationships. They don't give a fuck about a man or what he wants or what he cares about or what he likes. It's all about me, me, me. What can he do for me? What have you done for me lately? And as soon as you stop doing, they get on. That's why it's dangerous, fellas. That's why, first of all, just like we tell the ladies, you got to stop dating the women that you want to date and date the women that want you. It's just simple as it is. The woman who keeps her eye on you, who stays focused on you, that's the one you need. Now, you might have you a bad one in your stable, but you know for a fact she playing the field. Cut her loose, bro. Cut her loose. Cut her loose. You want a successful relationship, you're gonna go with that girl who wants you. And just like you tell these females that the grass ain't always green on the other side, and that they gonna hold out until they die, they buy their dog and die alone. There's a lot of men a lot of successful men that are gonna buy their dogs and die alone too, because they think they gonna get this supermodel, most brilliant, loving, nurturing, the best mom. She's gonna have all these. She don't exist either. Just like we talk about the women and they bad, and they bad rubric. A lot of men, we have a bad one too. Now this interview goes on for about an hour, and I run my mouth too much to watch to react to a whole entire hour. So we're gonna let it play a little bit more. To be honest, I might even do it to be continued on this one and finish this one up. But I'm gonna let it play a little while longer, maybe get another question off, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap for this one, just for the interest of time.
Ray over them.
Sure.
So
Sure.
talking about
But
the
we agree
types
that's the overwhelming majority.
that choose Pookie and Ray Ray.
Yes.
I don't think
Yes.
that's the overwhelming majority. No,
Okay.
I think
The overwhelming majority have a Pookie and a Ray Ray or Minnie on they rap sheet. They sexually liberated so they can have sex with whoever they want. Cool. You can have sex, but that don't mean you should have sex with everybody you want. Leave something to the imagination, ladies. Leave somebody off the list, ladies. Like, think about your husband. See, this is the thing. You want a traditional man. We want these provider men that pay for everything, that pull out seats, that open up car doors, that walk on the right side of the street. All of these things. We want these traditional men that go to work and they come home and they put it. But what do we get? What we used to get a virgin helpmate. When you got married, you got walked down the aisle. Her daddy walked her down the aisle. Usually, back in the day, most of the time, daddy actually picked you. If daddy didn't pick you, she picked you, but he had to pass daddy's test. I had to go shake that man's hand. I had to look him square in his eyes, and I had to tell him what my plans for his daughter was. And when my plans was insufficient, he kicked my back ass up out of his house. She ran upstairs and slammed the door, and she cried, but she never fucking saw me again because I was not good for her. Because even though she was blinded by love, daddy knows best. And he knows that this man has no purpose at least good enough for my daughter. And so they send him packing. When they used to have the traditional weddings, guess what? The same thing that women are saying they're looking for these men making this type of money that's at this certain level of maturity. The daddy used to go find that man. Used to go find typically an older man to marry his daughter off to. And it sounds disgusting, marrying him off to some old creep. No, because he wanted her to be taken care of. Not no notoriously older man, not no super egregiously older man, but maybe if she was 25, it's a 35-year-old. But he was already together in his career. He done sold his Royal Oaks. He done got all of that bullshit out of his system. He ready to settle down and have kids and take care of your goddamn daughter. That's not a bad thing. I
think there are enough of those women where that stereotype can have a place to live, like where we can choose, we can show people that has happened to. But I don't even have any friends that I can say have chosen Pookie and Ray. But I acknowledge too that everything is experience and exposure. So maybe the people that I hang around just don't necessarily, birds with feather, tend to flock together.
Sure.
You think the overwhelming majority...
Women in that answer is the same as you ever been to an interview and they ask you what's your weakness? And what's the number one answer? In my defense, I got a master's degree in HR, and I'm gonna tell you what the number one answer that we hear is. The number one answer, and it's my weakness is I work too hard, or my weakness is I take work home, or my weakness is I'm just too passionate sometimes. That's how that answer. That's how that shit goes when women say, "Not none of my friends, I don't even know these type of girls. How do you? What do you? You be with the wrong women. You need to change your crowd." Shut up. And I like Kiana. She's good in my book. But shut up. Shut up. At the end of the day, first of all, one of your friends is a hoe, for sure. First of all, the Pookie lover is absolutely in your friend group. You might not want to admit it. You might not even know about it. Let's be for real, because even inside these close-knit friend groups, they don't tell each other everything. I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. Certain friends know certain things that other friends don't know, and some of the friends know nothing. It's some things that don't go to anybody; they go to the grave. Please believe that. Please believe that.
Majority of women deal with Pookies and Ray Rays.
To give a more nuanced answer, and it kind of answers the other question, I think most women want excitement.
At what stage, though? You think across the lifespan, that's what women want?
Across.
Yep.
Low key.
You think so?
Watch Kendra G's show any day. Go watch Kendra G's single show any day, and you will see birds of all different races, across all different ages. I'm talking big, tall, fat, small. No matter what, they are all asking for fun. They asking for happiness. They asking for travel. They asking for 6 foot, 6 figures, and 6 inches. Every fucking single one of them. Every one of them. That's what they looking for. Every night, night in and night out, no matter what they look like, regular, big, and tall, they want it all. They want it all. It's a fact. So it's and it's crazy because it's a disconnect. Like, you got women that are deserving of Pookies and Ray Rays. That's why they have so many on their track list, because that's what they run into in their natural habitat. That's what they have access to. That's what they deserve. That's what they've worked for. But they want to trick. They're mad because they can't trick these good men.
And I'll say this because typically, like when you start drilling down into the reasons why men leave women versus women leave men, typically when a man leaves a woman, typically he'll say she changed.
Okay.
When I met her, she was this young, vivacious, bubbly, exciting person. But then she became a mother, she became boring, she became frumpy and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Temperamental and the whole
Frumpy's
nine.
hilarious.
Ironically, what women typically say is that he didn't change.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about,
You know
that
what I'm saying? He's
potential.
still that little boy, you know what I'm saying? He didn't mature,
Didn't
he
live
just
up to
got
that
older.
potential.
So, which tells me that women's norm relative to men, women's norm is ebbs and flows, it's fluctuation, it's ups and downs, it's the roller coaster of life, which is a beautiful thing. Men's whole thing,
that's that chaos.
Men's whole kind of
that chaotic thing.
Modus operandi, I'm probably butchering that, but it's to like maintain.
Okay.
It's to
like consistency.
Consistency is to keep shit going, even bad things. I'm a drug dealer. I want to keep dealing drugs at this level or at the highest level. Whereas women, it tends to, I want to experience all the range of emotional expression and everything that life.
That's that chaotic part of it. You know, this is a good place, but we're gonna be continued. I'm gonna finish this one. I'm gonna actually leave a link in the description so that you guys can finish watching this video in its entirety. But yeah, for time's sake, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. But the most important thing is like in every one of these episodes, it's the same. We can do better, both of us. But it comes from these conversations, understanding exactly what it is that women want, and understanding exactly what it is that men want, and then giving that to them. That's the part I don't understand. You say men are so simple, and you say men are all asking for the same things. Ladies. Is it so hard to give us that? Let us get that. Let me get that. I want you to listen to me. I'm gonna pay for everything. Let me get that. I feel like it's an even trade. You see, it's an even trade. I mean, the risk is gonna be equal. It depends on how you look at it, but it's gonna be equal. Like you had a baby and you forgo, you know, and your body's gonna take a hit typically. So you're gonna have to work yourself back into shape, and we understand that. Same thing with men. He's gonna be. You in that work thing, you're not in it alone in today's world. Today's world, most women, they come with their own bag. We'll give them that. it ain't as much as ours, but they come with a little something so they can actually help on that front. It can be win-win, fellas. I'm telling you. What we need, another thing we talked about, I talked about with a friend today, was about the evolution of relationships and how they need to evolve. You can't keep looking for traditional men. You're not a traditional woman. You need to understand that you need something different, and you need to look objectively at yourself and find out what that is, what that looks like, what you qualify for, what could work for you, because you might be looking past the perfect situation because it's not what your ideal in your head. Do yourself a favor. Leave room for your idea in your head to be wrong. Leave room for that. You want to give yourself as many chances as possible to win. And that's not by telling us what you won't do. That's not by telling men or women what you won't do. That's by giving them what you can. You're not a millionaire. You can't give them $1 million. That's just a fact. That's just that. And okay, but what can you give? What value can you create? Your leverage is in the value that you create, fellas. You can demand certain things when you can provide certain things. When you can provide these experiences, you can provide, your intellect, your conversation. You have these things that women find value in. Your ability to protect. It will behoove you to be as best as that. When women tell you what they want, to listen, and vice versa, ladies. When we tell you what we want, listen. Well, I'm not even gonna say we when they tell you, because I'm off. I'm good. Been good. I remember they used to talk all the shit about me back in the day. Oh, you didn't got married when you was 12. Yeah, well, 16 years later, bet you wish you would have got married. Because look at what's going on out here. I got lucky. We got married before social media. When we got together, you still needed a college or military email to get on Facebook, to be to even create an account on Facebook. MySpace was still popping. And who knows? Who knows if in today's environment the same two people meet and they might not be together. Just off of what social media has. And I hate to say social, because social media don't do nothing to nobody. It's like saying guns kill people. No, the idiots that pick the guns up and do dumb shit, they kill people. The guns don't do shit. If they sit on the shelf, they harmless. Same thing with social media. Didn't nobody tell y'all to pick social media up and start lying? That's what the issue is. Nobody told y'all to pick this app up and start lying. But I'm gonna stop yapping. I need y'all to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Please do me a favor and go subscribe. It's free. It don't cost you nothing to hit that subscribe button. But it'll help me out greatly. It gives me the motivation that I need to keep doing this shit. So if y'all want to keep seeing this shit, go ahead and like the video. But until next time, man.
Just me, my lady, I don't need no guys. Just me, my lady, I don't need no guys. Ham squad. Just me, my lady, I don't need no guys. Headed to the top, I don't need no ride. I'm so fly, how fly is he? I can stop now, let the beat just ride. Niggas like, might as well join them. Nothing we can do to defeat those guys. Us to the world like Bonnie and Clyde. She was there when niggas wouldn't loan me a dime. She was there when I was feeling lonely inside. Niggas not real cause it's all in disguise. I can feel the hate cause it's all in your vibe. Diamond in the rough, yeah, star on the rise. Big confidence, that's all on my stride. Money, 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 that's all on my mind. Yeah, see, it's just me and my yo lady. Born all in the 90s, but our soul came from the 80s. I know she'll get on your ass if you ever